feels like the Boston Celtics fans are living through a deja vu moment. After once again building a 20-point lead at the end of the third quarter, they suffered another heartbreaking loss to the New York Knicks. It's the same story, just a different game. Now the Celtics find themselves in a precarious situation, trailing 2-0 in the series and heading into the Madison Square Garden for games 3 and 4. The score of 91-90 leaves Boston with an uphill battle ahead of them, and you can't help but wonder, how did we get here? Honestly, after the first 2 games, I'm not feeling very optimistic. It's tough to remain hopeful when you look back at what happened. The Celtics, for some inexplicable reason, seemed relaxed in moments that demanded intensity, letting go of the effort that brought them to this point. It's frustrating, especially when you know the team is capable of much more. Now they're in a tough spot, and as a Celtics fan, it's hard not to question what's coming next. What about these games gives us confidence? The answer is not much. Looking at the game closely, it's hard to ignore how badly Boston played, particularly in the final minutes. Their shooting was abysmal. The Celtics finished the game with less than a 40% shooting accuracy, and they've missed 33-point attempts. That alone should raise alarms for any team, let alone one playing in the postseason. What's even more concerning is how isolated and stagnant the offense became. The Celtics tallied just 17 assists on 34 made baskets, a number that screams inefficiency. It's tough to pin this entirely on effort or motivation, but the sheer number of missed wide-open three-pointers, again, brings back painful memories of Game 1. And in the final stretch of the game, unforced errors sealed their fate. I'll break it down further. It's unbelievable how the Celtics failed to execute in crunch time. With just under 6 minutes left on the clock, they went on a scoring drought. Let that sink in for a moment. 6 minutes with no points in a playoff game. The numbers for that period are staggering. 5 for 24 shooting in the fourth quarter. This simply cannot happen in the playoffs. You can't afford such a collapse when the game is on the line, especially when every possession counts so much. To make matters worse, Boston allowed 6 offensive rebounds in the final stretch, which turned into 8 points of second chances. You can't give up easy buckets in a tight game, and that's exactly what happened. In the paint, the Celtics managed only 3 out of 10 field goals, and from beyond the arc, they connected on just 2 out of 11 attempts. The stats don't lie. When a team can't capitalize on their opportunities, it's a recipe for defeat. The turnovers also proved to be a major issue. The Celtics racked up an alarming 16 turnovers in this game. That's a killer stat. In the playoffs, you just can't give the ball away like that. Every lost possession not only gives the opponent a chance to score, but also opens up opportunities for second chance points, something that the Celtics struggled with throughout the game. A good defense and disciplined ball control are key to advancing in the postseason, but Boston was lacking in both areas. And then, of course, we can't ignore the performances of certain individuals. There were glaring moments where the team's star players simply didn't show up. It's difficult to understand why they weren't able to convert easy shots. And this is where we have to talk about the coaching decisions. While I'm not one to jump on the blame the coach bandwagon, the lack of adjustments in critical moments is concerning. When the team went cold for 6 minutes in the fourth quarter, no timeouts were called to stop the bleeding. And even in the final possession, with 12 seconds left on the clock, there was no attempt to slow things down and get a better shot. Instead, the Celtics rushed forward, which was a mistake. These are the types of decisions that can change the course of a game. With all that said, it's clear that the Celtics now have a very tough road ahead. They're down 0-2 in the series and heading to New York, where the crowd will be louder than ever. If they want to avoid an early exit, they need to step up their game in every aspect. They have to clean up their shooting, tighten up their defense, and most importantly, stop making those costly mistakes that have led to 2 straight defeats. Looking at the individual performances, there's one player who has been noticeably off. He's been struggling with his shots, and it's been hard to watch. Despite being one of the league's top players, he's had multiple missed opportunities close to the basket. It's not like the Knicks are running an impenetrable defense, but for whatever reason, he's just not hitting his shots. This isn't the player we saw earlier in the playoffs. And it's concerning. I know many of you reading this are probably as frustrated as I am, especially considering what we know this team is capable of. But I'm hearing the same thing from other Celtics fans. What's happening with him? He can't be this ineffective. It's baffling. You expect more from a player of his caliber, but at this moment, he's not showing up when it matters most. And this extends to the rest of the team as well. Players who normally excel are also struggling, and it's putting more pressure on everyone else. Take Jaylen Brown, for example. He had a solid first half, using his strength to get to the basket, but his performance in the second half was disappointing. He ended up shooting 8 for 24 at Yale, 8-23 overall, and finished with 6 turnovers. Not exactly the production you want from one of your main guys. He also shot just 2 for 7 from three-point range. This is a team that relies on its stars to carry them, but right now they're not doing enough. Derek White had a decent game, grabbing 9 rebounds and showing some strength on the glass, but his scoring was lacking. For the Celtics to succeed, they need contributions from all their key players, not just a few. Scoring only 90 points in a playoff game and still coming up short is a huge problem. The Celtics had the lead at 90-89 in this game, but after a missed shot, a turnover, and some untimely fouls, they found themselves back on the losing side. The Knicks, on the other hand, showed up with a lot of energy. They were more determined, especially in the fourth quarter when the game was on the line. New York's players wanted it more, and it showed in the way they hustled for offensive rebounds and converted second-chance points. They wanted to win more than the Celtics did, and that's what ultimately gave them the edge. The Celtics need to regroup, figure out what went wrong, and come back stronger in the next games. Their playoff hopes are still alive, but they have to show that they can execute under pressure. They need to make smarter decisions, take better shots, and stop turning the ball over. If they can do that, they'll have a chance to even up the series in New York and turn this thing around. But if they continue to make the same mistakes, they might find themselves in a hole too deep to climb out of. So, as we prepare for Game 3, it's hard not to feel anxious. How confident are you that the Celtics can bounce back and win 4 of the next 5 games? On a scale of 1 to 10, where do you stand? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. We'll continue to break down the game and analyze what went wrong on what needs to improve for Boston to stay alive in the playoffs. But right now, it's all about looking ahead and hoping that the team can find a way to turn this series around. As we turn our focus to individual performances, it's impossible not to notice the struggles of the Celtics' star players. We've all seen what this team is capable of, and yet time and time again, they fail to execute when it matters most. Jason Tatum, in particular, has been underperforming in these first 2 games of the series. It's baffling. This is a player who has been one of the best in the league all season, but in this series, he's been far from his best. Tatum, for some reason, has been unable to hit shots that should be relatively easy for someone of his caliber. Whether it's missing layups or not converting on mid-range shots, he's simply not the player we're used to seeing. And it's not just the missed opportunities close to the basket. Even his three-point shooting has been off. When Tatum struggles, the entire team seems to lose its rhythm because he's the player they rely on to be the difference maker. In the first half of Game 2, you could see moments of promise, but they were too few and far between. Tatum had some good plays, but he couldn't maintain any consistency. His inability to score when the team needed him most was glaring, especially in the second half. In the final minutes of the game, he failed to come through with a clutch shot or even make a big play. Instead, we saw him miss some wide open shots and make costly turnovers that allowed the Knicks to seize control. That's not the Tatum we know. And with every missed shot or turnover, the pressure mounts on his teammates and the game slips further away. As much as we want to give Tatum the benefit of the doubt, it's hard not to feel frustrated. He's supposed to be the leader, the guy who takes over in the big moments, but so far, he's been far from that. If the Celtics want to win this series, they need their superstar to step up and take charge. They can't afford for him to disappear. In critical moments, especially when the stakes are so high, Tatum needs to find his rhythm and fast, or the Celtics' playoff run could be in serious jeopardy. Then there's Jaylen Brown, who also had his fair share of struggles. Brown was solid in the first half, using his athleticism to get to the basket and convert some tough shots. But his performance in the second half was disappointing, to say the least. He finished the game with 8 made shots on 23 attempts, a far cry from what you expect from your second-best player. He also committed 6 turnovers, which only added to the Celtics' already problematic turnover count. Brown wasn't able to replicate the same level of aggression or efficiency that he showed earlier in the game, and that inconsistency hurt. Boston, when they needed him the most, the lack of scoring from Tatum and Brown in the second half was a huge factor in the Celtics' loss. When your two best players aren't contributing in crunch time, it's almost impossible to win, especially in a playoff game. Boston needs more from both of them, and they need it fast. If they can't rely on Tatum and Brown to carry the offense, they're going to be in a world of trouble for the rest of this series. While the Stars struggled, there were also some positive contributions from other players, but they were overshadowed by the overall lack of execution. Derek White was solid on the boards, grabbing 9 rebounds and showing some grit in the paint, but his scoring was lacking. He only contributed a handful of points, and for a team that's struggling to score, every bit of offense counts. White's effort on the boards was commendable, but the Celtics need him to be more than just a rebounder. He needs to step up as a scorer, especially with Tatum and Brown struggling to find their rhythm. Marcus Smart had his ups and downs as well. As the reigning defensive player of the year, Smart has shown flashes of his defensive prowess, but he wasn't able to make enough of an impact on the offensive end. He finished the game with a low shooting percentage, and although he had a few nice assists, his playmaking wasn't enough to ignite the offense. Boston needs more from Smart, both in terms of leadership and execution. He's the one who can help settle the team down when things get chaotic, but he's also the one who can drive the offense when the shot clock is ticking down. Right now, he's not doing enough to fill that role. And then there's the issue of the Celtics' overall lack of cohesion. This isn't just a case of individual players not stepping up. It's a team-wide problem. The Celtics' offense looks disjointed, and the defense isn't as sharp as it needs to be. In the first half, they were able to build a sizable lead thanks to some solid defense and timely scoring, but in the second half, it all fell apart. The Knicks were able to exploit the Celtics' weaknesses, grabbing offensive rebounds and scoring on second-chance opportunities. And offensively, Boston couldn't find a rhythm. They missed open shots, turned the ball over, and failed to execute in the clutch. That's not a recipe for success in the playoffs. So, what's the solution? For one, the Celtics need to get back to basics. They need to play more disciplined basketball, both offensively and defensively. That means reducing turnovers, getting better shots, and crashing the boards to prevent second-chance points. It's simple, but crucial. If the Celtics can't clean up their mistakes, they're going to be in for a long series. On top of that, they need their stars to step up. Tatum and Brown have been inconsistent, but they're the ones who can carry the team when things get tough. And they need to find a way to be more effective, especially in the second half of games. If they can't do that, the Celtics are going to find themselves in a deep hole they won't be able to climb out of. Ultimately, the Celtics have the talent to win this series. They have the players, the coaching, and the experience to go far, but they need to execute at a higher level. The mistakes they made in the first 2 games are fixable, but they need to address them quickly before they fall too far behind. If they can clean up their play, get their stars to show up, and play with more intensity, they'll have a chance to turn this series around. But if they keep making the same mistakes, it's going to be a long and frustrating postseason. And the time to step up is now. But before we continue, please remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest news about the Boston Celtics. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. New York Knicks head coach Tom Thibodeau stirred controversy this week after making pointed remarks about the Boston Celtics, igniting fresh tension between the longtime rivals. Speaking to reporters following a Knicks practice session, Thibodeau did not hold back when asked about Boston's recent form and its status as an Eastern Conference powerhouse. While the Celtics have maintained one of the best records in the league, Thibodeau dismissed the idea that they are the team to beat, suggesting instead that their success is more a product of media hype than genuine dominance. Thibodeau, known for his no-nonsense approach and focus on defense, questioned the Celtics' toughness and consistency, saying they haven't proven anything when it matters most. Regular season wins mean little if you don't show up in the playoffs. The comments clearly struck a nerve with both fans and analysts, particularly in Boston, where confidence in the team's title chances remains high. Celtics supporters were quick to defend their squad, pointing to their recent deep playoff runs and improvements in team chemistry under head coach Joe Mazzulla. The timing of Thibodeau's remarks adds another layer of intrigue with the Knicks and Celtics both fighting for playoff positioning as the season heads into its final stretch. For the Knicks, who have struggled with injuries and inconsistency, Thibodeau's comments may have been an attempt to fire up his roster and reassert their place among the East's elite. Whether it was a calculated motivational tactic or simply a slip into rivalry-fueled frustration, the fallout has brought new energy to one of the NBA's most historic matchups. Fans won't have to wait long to see how it plays out. The next face-off between the Knicks and Celtics is just around the corner, and with tensions now running high, the game promises to be more than just another regular season contest. It will be a battle of pride, strategy, and perhaps vindication. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Boston Celtics, please subscribe to our channel and give the video a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.